So, hey everybody, this is Terry Mitchell and this is Voice on Fire interview series. And today I have the crazy pleasure of talking to Mr. Khoa Nam Tran, and he's going to be both entertaining, and believe me, I've heard his jokes before, and also really inspiring. But there's going to be a whole range of conversations that we're going to have today. So for those who've not heard or had a chance to learn about the Voice on Fire interview series, the purpose is to provide a platform for emerging change makers, difference makers, life influencers, people who have founded something, created something, or curating something that they could probably take to the global village and influence on a really broad scale. And today's guest today is someone who has a really, really interesting story. And what I'd like to do is start out by asking Khoa, thank you for joining me. And what I'd like to ask today is a really unusual question you probably haven't had asked of you before. May I ask how old you are?
I am 37.
37. All right. Yep. Now, the reason I wanted to ask Khoa that is Khoa's story started pretty much about 2012. And before we get to that really pivotal point in his life, I'm actually going to take Khoa down a little bit of a memory lane experience. So, Khoa, it's great to have you here. You're located in Sydney, despite the backdrop there indicating you may be somewhere in the glorious overseas areas of San Francisco. Khoa's in Sydney. So, Khoa, tell me a little bit more about who you were, something really personal to you, before 2012. So you would have been how old roughly?
Well, prior to the change, I was 29 years old.
Mm-hmm.
But earlier, I was like a go-getter guy. So I always had the positivity, and I love going out. I love socializing with friends.
Mm-hmm.
Always cracking jokes. So I'm always that larrikin the larrikin in a group who always laughs for no reason.
That's a pretty good reason, yeah.
It's just my demeanor where take life as it goes and appreciate it.
Yep.
But not as much as I appreciate it now.
I bet. So now, one of the things I know that you're very passionate about is health and fitness. And I understand that that's something that's just been a part of your life. When did you really get the bug to become involved in working out at the gym or doing, any sort of form of fitness exercise?
Well, surprisingly, I only started doing it in 2009, so almost 11 years. But then, prior to that, it was just always the alcoholic booze and partying or whatnot, like after a hard day's work, go home, crack open a beer or two with friends.
Mm-hmm.
But with no fitness in mind. But in 2009, I decided, you know what, let's do something I've never done before. Let's shape up. When you're young, you want to. I was a really skinny boy, so I was really like a stick figure, as you would say. And I was like, let's put on some size on me. I had no idea what I was doing at the start. It was all that bro code where you, do this, do that, And back then, the internet wasn't. It was hard to get access to information, especially with our dial-up internet.
Yeah.
We were sitting there for 30 seconds for it to dial in. Next thing, and then 56K modem. Wow, that was far.
Yeah, way back when.
Yeah, way back then. But then I probably a couple of years later, I started to get more into the fitness. Starting to do like some boxing exercises and mountain biking, a lot of outdoor activities. Started to concentrate more on my health, but in saying that, it was also heavy drinking. I wasn't an alcoholic in a sense, but it was drinking for the sake of drinking to have fun. That was my mentality back then.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought I'll offset that by the bad health by doing some physical exercise. Yeah.
So if we were to paint a bit of a picture of Khoa back, say, 10, 12 years ago, you were just a regular fella. You were out with your mates, having a good binge drink session, you know, partying hard, having a good time, because pretty much, would you say you felt invincible?
Yeah, 100%. Like,
Mhm.
I guess it's like every young adult.
Yeah,
Um, you don't feel like nothing's gonna bad happen, you know.
yeah.
Especially if you take those risks,
Mm.
and then it doesn't do anything to you. So you think you grow that, how do you say, ego
Yeah.
more, that you know what you see on the news. Nah, it's not gonna happen to me. Nah.
Do you really
Yeah.
notice whether you actually might have had that thought process that that stuff won't happen to me? Was that, do you ever have a recollection of a conscious thought that that's not going to happen to me? Or was it sort of just something that was a bit of the peer pressure? You just bit bulletproof, really didn't matter, had no real impact on you, even if you saw that kind of stuff on the news, you never really kind of associated with it happening to you. Where were you at, just in your thought process? And I want to lead into something with this, so I'm interested to see what you were aware of at that time.
Yeah. So my thought process for all of that is, yeah, if what you see on the news, like, or the accidents, or you hear from friends, it's not directly connected to you. So you think, oh, that, I don't know. Anyone say it's not gonna happen around my circle,
Mm.
or my, yeah, who I hang around with or whatnot. Yeah, it's whatever.
Mm.
Is it true or not? You don't know, because
It hasn't
it's
happened.
not directly affecting you. Yeah,
Yeah. So it's
that's
easy
it.
just to blow it off, isn't it? It's like, oh, that
Yeah,
doesn't.
yeah, you shrug it off. You go, oh, it's what you hear every day. It doesn't matter. Like, for me, nothing's happened. So, um, do what I do. There's nothing
Mm.
going to change, because nothing significant has impacted me or people around me to change my thought process of, example, drinking all the time. And
Mm.
yeah, so I did feel invincible. And
Mm-hmm.
once again, I feel like that's what every young person would
Mm.
think like, you know.
Yeah.
Um,
Yep.
unless you
No.
have something significant that has happened to you or around you, then
Yeah.
that might influence your thought process,
Mm.
your choice.
Yeah, interesting, interesting. So I'm really fascinated by the idea that, because knowing you as I've come to know you over the last 12 months, and reflecting back to who you were prior to the pivotal moment in life, I kind of find it really challenging to imagine you as a scrawny young bloke drinking lots of alcohol and not at the gym. To me, it seems to be such a significant change. But prior to that moment in your life, you had found working out at the gym, and I hear when you say you were looking to do something a bit different, change things up a bit, give it a go. At what point did you kind of realize you actually really enjoyed being at the gym and it was your thing? Now, I know you say you were trying to offset the alcohol, but at what point was there that realization that even with or without the alcohol, you were actually really getting into that fitness thing and you actually were getting a buzz out of that? When did you kind of notice that was taking place?
I would say it was probably in around mid 2011.
Mhm.
So I was overseas. I was I was at a self discovery period too. So I wanted to get out of the country and explore, and especially if you go to a third world country where you see how privileged we are in Australia,
Mhm.
it opens your eyes more. But that's where I found, because I was training over there, and I had a lot of self self reflection, or more eye opener too,
Mhm.
and I could see if I could improve my health. Whether that'll be, I think it's more visual
Mhm.
too,
Mhm.
not the mental side. That was back then. that I'll be more confident. So once I actually did see that, like I'm starting to physically take shape, I go, wow, this is something that I like too. And always learning, with the internet, all information on the internet, it's there at the grasp of your hands. A single click and you see what you want to see. And research purposes too, for exercises in the gym. So that's where I started to expand my knowledge with getting to know what to do in terms of like building biceps, chest, and all that, and then looking on YouTube to see other influencers, learning from them, and then you collaborate and you make your own routine. And I think it was around that point, around 2011, where I started to get into it because I was more aware of what I'm doing. So I'm just not performing an exercise for the sake of what you see on the internet. I started to realize, all right, so by doing this, by holding this certain angles, I'm targeting this muscle, so I'm getting more in-depth about what to do.
Awesome.
It was around that point, but then it was after my accident, then I started to get more into it because I cut the other offset, the original offset, which was the booze. That's when I went deep into it more.
Okay. Now, we've obviously been alluding to this pivotal moment in life, and for those that have had some contact with you or maybe have watched previous online either videos or interviews with you, there'd be a lot of people that would be familiar that in 2012, late 2012, you were unfortunately involved in a fatality road accident. And for myself, as I say those words, having myself been involved in a relatively minor car accident that has left me with some ongoing issues, my own emotional state just thinking about that really does change. And I have to remind myself that everything is okay and we're here now and all is good in the world. With where you're at today, share what you feel comfortable sharing about what happened in that moment, in referencing particularly the whole alcohol thing, because I believe that played a part. Share where that was at and what you're comfortable sharing.
So I'll share a bit of the story right at the start. It was just like any other night in the life of Khoa back then. I'll just go out and drink alcohol, get wasted, turn wasted, and wake up, not remember a thing, and then repeat again. You know, rinse, repeat. And then I went to a nightclub for a party, and there was a lot of booze, a lot. Mainly because it was on the tab. So on the tab means that it's already been paid for, or they calculate the bill after. So just grab whatever you can. And I think that night I grabbed a lot of alcohol. Well, enough that I don't remember. So let's just say it was basically probably not even an hour when I got to the club. And there were drinks everywhere. I just started drinking shots of vodka, shots of whatever's there.
Yeah.
And then next thing you know, I wake up in hospital 3 weeks later. So.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it was that significant impact for you that your best recollection is just being at that party drinking, and that's pretty much all you can recall?
That's 100% correct. That's all I remember. It was a night out, having heaps of drinks. Again, it's like an everyday thing for myself, Khoa, right? So there was no repercussions. I know, I'm gonna have a fun time, wake up with a hangover, and have a laugh about how awesome it was. Fortunately, I woke up 3 weeks after, but I didn't know I was in the hospital in a sense. I just saw family and friends around me. So I guess I was still in that confused state, like, where am I? But in saying that, I wasn't shocked, but family and friends were prepared for my reaction, because in this situation, you know, when someone you love loses their legs, you got to be prepared for them. You got to be there to support them. I guess in my situation, they were there. They were ready to support me, but I threw a curveball in the sense that I'm still like laid back at that moment, due to the fact that I had a lot of prescription drugs or to sort of pain and all that. Yeah. So, but I wake up and I shrugged it off. I didn't. Yeah. I guess I go, oh, okay, I lost my legs. Bang, that's it. Next. And that shocked a lot of people. And then throughout those days, I was cracking jokes, and not even cracking jokes. I was still in a hallucinated state where my reality wasn't a reality. It was in my head what I thought. I thought I was overseas. Case in point, I thought I was overseas and people flew over to visit me.
Wow.
And I kept thanking it. Oh, thank you for visiting me. Thank you. I legit thought people flew over to come visit me.
Wow.
And I had to get reminded by family and friends. Oh no, you're here. But I kept saying, oh, no, thank you. I kept being gracious in a sense. And then I also thought, I had another scenario where I thought I just finished high school.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, and I was talking in that present tense of just finishing year 12 and bringing back. Oh, so how was school last year? Or yeah, and you could see the facial features of all my friends. With the eyes rolling. Yeah, we didn't finish it. We finished school ages ago.
So there was obviously a little bit of shock for them, because the expected reactions that they were thinking you were going to have didn't even show up.
Nope.
And so you've kind of, as you said, thrown them a bit of a curveball, and they've not really known what on earth's going on. And I no doubt imagine they would have had plenty of conversations with the doctors to try and understand, well, look, really, is he going to be okay? You mentioned now, obviously, I've been a little bit elusive about talking about this because I did want to bring into the subject matter the more specific experience for you. So just for the listeners, Khoa's accident was quite serious. I believe the driver had suffered severe head injuries and is permanently disabled now on a disability scale, like unable to care for himself, not currently functioning independently anymore. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Yeah, and I believe that there was a young girl that was fatally injured in the car.
Yeah, that's also correct. She was the front passenger.
Okay. So for those that are listening, Khoa's accident was a fairly serious accident on any scale, and that being the case, I also understand that the driver was pretty heavily fueled with alcohol. Would that be fair to say?
Yes, that would be fair to say. Again, like, I don't remember that point from jumping into the car. I just remember downing drinks and waking up. So there's a good, I say, I think 6 hour gap that I don't remember. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, not 6 hours, 3 weeks.
Yeah,
well,
yeah, but that time frame from the moment you arrived at the party to the physical accident itself. Yeah.
That's exactly right. Yeah.
So if
fair to say, he would have been intoxicated and fatigued. That's what I got told to. So it was a combination.
Yeah. Yeah. So for those that are listening, Khoa's accident was obviously quite serious. I mean, there's no two ways about that. And Khoa's indicated that he talked about losing his legs. Khoa actually had double amputation of his legs. One is above the knee, the other is below the knee. And I don't know about you, anyone that's watching this or listening to this, that to me is a massive change to not only your physical state, but also your mental state. And we're obviously talking, Khoa, about, you know, you're still in hospital and you're having a few drug-induced hallucinations from all the medical pain medication and various other things that are going on. At what point did you realise, were you aware enough and no longer under such heavy medication, at what point did you realise that your body had undergone a massive change? At what point did you become really aware of that?
That was while still in ICU. So I guess they were weaning me off the prescription drugs, the medication, but I was still hooked up to like all hospital stuff, like the catheter tubes and all intravenous lines and all that to do whatever that it needs to. I'm not a doctor, but
No,
yeah, I had a lot of lines stuck into me.
Yeah.
But there was a moment where I wanted to use the bathroom, and
okay.
yeah, so obviously I didn't need to because I had a catheter tube, but in my mind I still needed to go to the bathroom. So the nurses went around in that ICU room, but I go, all right, I'm gonna go. And in my mind, I could walk.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
In my mind, I could walk.
Mm-hmm.
I clearly told the doctor saying that I went home in a taxi and that I'll come back later. But he told me, no, you got to stay here. You didn't do that. But in my mind, I said, no, I went home. I went home. I went to the toilet. I did some stuff and I came back from taxi and came back onto the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
So this was like a day or two before. Yeah, so in my mind, I still could walk. And so I wanted to use the bathroom. I shuffled to the side of the raised bed. You know how the raised bed, now hospital beds, they've got rails that go up and down. It's for access for nurses and patients.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so the rail was down.
Oh wow!
So the rail was down. So I shuffled to the side so I could, leap off and walk to the bathroom. But as soon as I leaped off, I slammed the ground.
Wow.
Yeah. And the nurses ran in and because they heard a loud thump and I was like flat on the ground. I was like, okay, I can't walk. So that was the pivotal moment where I realized, wow, I really can't walk. I concluded that whatever I thought in my head about going home, catching a taxi, that was not reality. That was my how do you say it? Fantasy.
Probably like a drug-induced reality. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. How I said, I thought I was still overseas, right? I had different scenarios, but one of the scenarios that proved real was, to me, was walking. But it was only when I actually did it physically, where I actually fell onto the ground, that gave me the shock. That gave me that moment of realization, saying that, okay, I did lose my legs and I can't walk. And it was only after that that I kind of went down. I kind of fell into you could say it's a depressed state where a lot of thinking, a lot of I guess a lot of past thoughts saying like, what ifs? Now I can't do this, now I can't do that, now I can't walk, now I can't run, now I can't, example, go to the gym, do a squat, now I can't mountain bike. There's a lot of can'ts in my thought.
Yeah.
And that brought me down. But being in hospital, you got a lot of time to self-reflect too. A lot of time. So that's where I think that's where my mental strength came in, and the way I thought I needed to change. So I knew that if I kept thinking of past experiences, I wouldn't be here where I am today.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've had to change my mindset. Let me correct that. I didn't have to change my mindset. I had to bring back my mindset.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because my mindset hasn't changed. It only improved and looked more to the positive side. So it's a funny story because I had a iPad after, and I straight away look for legs. I know it's something.
So you automatically started looking for, oh, I need some artificial legs now. Was that kind of like the light-hearted way that you approached it?
Yes, 100%,
Mm-hmm.
100%. Because I knew, because I'm always humorous.
Mm-hmm.
So straight away I started to look at what possibilities I can do, especially going tall. That was one of the main things.
I remember that. Yeah.
I knew that I wasn't in height.
So how many inches have you grown artificially, can we say?
I say currently, I think is around 3 inches I've grown.
Now, I seem to understand, if I'm correct, that was a bit of a special request. Was that correct, that you wanted to be a little bit taller?
That's correct. Yeah, from a prosthetist, because I clearly asked him, now that I've got 2 legs, not just 1 but 2, I can technically make my height taller, right? To my prosthetist, I go, yeah, you can. And I go, could you make me taller? Please.
How did he respond to that?
Yeah, sure. But then, like, I knew that being taller would be, if the taller you are, the harder you fall, right? So I had that in mind. So I was at a point where I was actually around 4 or 5 inches taller. So I was a good, like, 10 in metric terms, 10 centimeters taller than my original height. Yeah. But I dropped myself back down just to play on the safe side. Not to my original height, but lower than what my maximum height was. So I was sitting at 175. I think now I'm 171.
Okay.
And my original height was 165.
Did you alter that height a little bit more so too, just probably because there might have been like a bit of a stability issue, if you would, like, perhaps a little bit too tall, if there's a way to say that, because I don't know if that's necessarily true, but that there might have just been some mobility and stability issues if you could, wouldn't it have affected perhaps your center of gravity just while you were learning to walk again?
That's correct. It's because I was learning to walk again, and I was still new to walking, and I had that height advantage. But I thought I was still learning, and if I did fall, so in my head, I still had that thought of if I did fall, it's gonna hurt. So this was when I was still learning. So it's now good over 5.5 years since I've actually learned how to walk again. And I could safely say that if I was to see my prosthetist, I could say, hey, jack me up.
And he probably would.
Yeah, he probably would. Hey, jack me up. I'm confident.
Now, people may not be fully aware of your story in one aspect of it, and there's a couple of things come to mind there. And I have the privilege of having known a little bit of Khoa's story, just because we are connected on Facebook, but also I did get to meet him in Sydney at a speaking event. So it was valuable to learn that you talk about your prosthetist, if I can say that word correctly, the specialist surgeon. You have a particular specialist surgeon who's incredible global skill has been a part of your life. Do you want to share a little bit about that?
Yes, I don't have a traditional, how would you say, socket. So originally, if you're an amputee, you go into a socket. That's like a bucket, and you wear a sleeve. If you're above knee or below knee, same thing. but you wear an artificial, like a bucket around your leg.
So it's something that's sort of shaped like that, and then your
Yeah,
joint goes into it.
yeah. So the socket is suited, accustomed to your femur, your stump.
Mm-hmm.
So every socket is different. You can't just go and grab someone's socket and put it on, because it doesn't work like that.
Yeah.
But I was using the socket for a good couple months. This is during my rehab, and it didn't go too well. Like, because of my scarring, I've got heaps of scarring. So every time I put on a socket, it would be uncomfortable and it would hurt, especially if on my left leg. I've got like skin grafting. I've got skin grafting on both left and right, but skin would break down if I wore the socket, and it was only during my rehab that it already started breaking. So once my skin started to break, I couldn't wear a socket for a couple of weeks until it healed. Yeah, so that was a problem. And then and it would take me a good almost 10 minutes just to put on my legs. And I didn't look forward to that, like waking up, getting ready just to put on my sockets and then stand up, get used to it. I did. I guess it wasn't ideal for me, but my prosthetist, who was the guy who was casting my legs, he mentioned to me about what a surgery called osseointegration. So he mentioned to me this surgery prior to myself getting on my feet with sockets.
Okay.
But I didn't know too much about this osseointegration, so I just palmed it off, because I thought to myself, now I'm going to get my sockets and it's going to look cool. I'm going to get carbon fiber because I love carbon fiber. Yeah, so it's all about the aesthetics look,
Yeah.
Not about the functionality, not about the comfort. And so
sounds like high heels to a girl, really.
Yeah, exactly. It looks good. Nah, I'll be fine. I'll be fine. Little did I know that once I was using it, it wasn't. All the complications started to arise, and then I get, you know what? Let's get back to my prosthetist and inquire about this surgery that he mentioned almost a year ago. So, and then I asked him about it, and he said, "I'll book an appointment with this surgeon, Dr. Munjanal Maduras." And that's what I did. December 2013, I booked an appointment, and there was a whole team there to assess me psychologically too, because it's important that I'll be aware that I have a metal titanium rod sticking out of my leg, and if I'm fine with that. Yeah,
and I take it you were fine with that?
Yeah, I was totally stoked about that. And after the initial consultation, I told my case manager who looks after me to proceed, to try get me this surgery, because it's a fair chunk of money, and I needed support from the government, which is like a third party that helps me cover my costs. And I got rejected at the start, but she was persistent. So she submitted more information with my prosthetist saying what the benefits of osseointegration compared to sockets. In the long term, it's actually cheaper for them rather than covering my sockets every 2-3 times a year, and it adds up every year. Yeah, and he finally got approved, and I was stoked to see the surgeon again, and he's a world-renowned surgeon in osseointegration.
Isn't he the founder of, or the person who actually founded that technique?
Yeah, that technique. That's exactly right. That I'm not too sure it's OPL. So there's different techniques of osseointegration, but he founded this technique, and he's the world-leading surgeon around the world, where people fly over to Sydney to seek his professionalism. and I'm very lucky that he's based in Sydney, and he's given me a second chance in life to doing what I'm doing right now. You know, public speaking, being more confident now, being on my feet, speaking to you, getting interviewed by you. Yeah. It just brings me up that confidence another level, or you could say another height.
Another few 3 or 4 inches.
Yeah, another 3 or 4 inches. Yeah, so it just makes my life that much better, more enjoyable. Although I would have been happy with either way, but being part of this osseous integration technique, it makes it much easier. Like for instance, I put my legs on. It takes only 2 seconds. Clip on my legs, on and off. Put it on, bang.
Do they clip on, or is there another mechanism? Is there something else? Because I believe I saw you look down. I was about to prompt you. Now, some people might find this a little, maybe a bit uncomfortable. Khoa is able to, and he does it fairly regularly, to clip his legs off. Do you feel comfortable sharing and just showing what the actual technology looks like?
Okay, look, I'm going to move myself to the side, and
he's using a green screen behind him, which is why he's got all these hidden things behind that image.
All right, you can't see it. You know what?
No.
Let me turn off my green screen.
He's going to go into his room here. There we go. So he's in his normal environment now.
So this is my leg right here.
Okay, and that's attached to which leg, the left or the right?
So this is my right leg.
So the right leg was amputated above knee.
And the left leg is below knee.
Below knee, okay. And they are both osseo integrations?
Osseo integrated, that's correct.
Okay.
Whereas the left, it's got an artificial knee too.
Okay.
To pour on and off, it's really easy. Bang.
Wow, really?
That's how fast, not even a second.
But does that give you any concerns about how secure it is on once it's on? Is there any movement where it has inadvertently come off because you've moved the wrong way?
No, so in terms of connection, it's perfectly safe.
Okay, so it just clips on.
With this connector, yeah, it's a twist.
Yep.
It will not come off at all.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah, it is that simple. As you could see, for your viewers who are watching on YouTube, it's literally not even a second that I could on and off. And when I go to bed, I take it off. When I wake up, I wear it the whole day. It's only when I go to bed or and I swap legs for shower.
I was going to say, for shower, are they waterproof for swimming, showering, bathing, anything like that? Or do they give you like a standard plastic? What's the difference in the technology?
The difference is it's just a very simple metal rod, and it's a non-slip foot. Yeah, it's very basic, but it does the job because I'm using it only for shower, or if I was to go to the beach, I can use it for the beach.
Okay.
In saying that, I could still use my everyday legs for the beach.
Yep.
So because my right leg, my microprocessor leg, it's waterproof. So it's safe to say that I could jump into the ocean with it.
I like how you reference that. He's got a microprocessor in his leg. Tell the audience why you have that, and there is a reason for that, and it's not just because it sounds good or it's not just because it's funky technology. It actually does really serve a purpose. What's the point behind it?
So the microprocessor knee, it's because my right side is above knee amputation. So you need that support to help you move. With an artificial right microprocessor knee, that helps me do my daily tasks as basically walking. I'm not a runner. I've never thought about running, although a lot of people ask me, why don't you do track and field again? No, I'm just happy with living life, getting from A to B, no hassles. And the microprocessor knee helps me do that and more. Yeah. So I control it with my Bluetooth phone, so it's connected to my phone, and I have different settings, especially for driving. I've got settings for driving too.
And there's a whole amazing can of amazing worms we could open with all of this. In the introduction, and when I was referencing Khoa before this, and you'll see the introduction in this description below this YouTube video, I also described Khoa by virtue of something he said to me. He says he's a self-described Rev-Head. Now, I myself still personally struggle with the idea of being in a car. I drive with such reservation. I really struggle with the notion that while I'm in a vehicle, I do still process that anything terrible could happen to me, even though I'm, I've been driving for, 30 plus years, 40 plus years almost. And in that time, never, ever, ever been in a serious car accident. So for me to then be not only, like I've had those car accidents where metal bumps on metal and you go, okay, let's exchange details, send it off to the insurance company and life goes on. This was what I thought was the same. I just didn't realise that the fact that I couldn't walk properly after the accident meant that this was different for me. So I personally may just be maybe still at a bit of an early stage in my personal recovery in terms of managing and dealing with being in a car. And yet here you are. Please do tell us about your Rev-Head behaviour, because I want to understand what goes through your mind. How did you get into that point? And I do know that you love a bit of speed. Tell me about that.
Yeah, so prior to all this happening, I always loved cars, and I was a rev head back then. I used to build cars as a hobby, playing around with my cars, learning a lot. And I'm not a mechanic, but it's a DIY, it's learning as you go. I didn't have expensive cars, so it was okay just to work and service it yourself and find out what works and what not. And then once I went to a racetrack, because I had a turbo car, I want to take it to a racetrack. I've never been to a racetrack. So I thought I'd take it. I was really crap, but then it was good because it was a safe environment. I gotta confess, back then, I'll go to what we call national runs. Yeah. Right? We'll go to the national park and a bunch of cars will just be speeding in the twisty roads at night time. So
okay.
Yeah, at night time. But then we'll follow each other. So you just gotta understand your limits in a sense. Some people go over their limits and crash on the side rails, but that's how it is. Like if you're not careful. But I thought that rather than doing it on the road, let's try on a safe environment in the track. Where if your car breaks down, you can get it towed and all that. If you get hurt, there's support, there's ambulance and all that. Because you paid for the session. But that's how I realized, wow, I love speeding in a safe environment. And doing a quarter mile and even go-karting with friends and all that. It was just fun. It gives you, it's time to yourself, because you're in the car by yourself and you're going, say, 180 k's down the main straight, and you got to think, your attention is always there. Going down a turn, do you brake hard? Do you don't brake? Or how hard do you brake? How hard do you take that turn? Do you trust your tires, your brakes? There's a lot of factors that fall into place, and it's basically your life that you're carrying with. If you're not sensible, then you could get into a serious accident. So it's a lot about your mental state too. How you.
Was this stuff that you were aware of and thinking, was this all prior to your accident, that this was your love and your understanding then, doing 180 k's in a safe environment? That was kind of, a bit bog standard for you?
Yeah. In a safe environment, yes.
What changed after you had the accident and realised, okay, I had an accident? Obviously, the brain's amazing protective mechanisms have meant that there are aspects of it you may never ever remember, and that may be a good thing. In terms of that progressing forward, how on earth did you make that transition to getting into a car and feeling safe in a car at 180 k's an hour? Where's your thought process around that? I mean, it may be just that that's just how you are. It could be that you had to go through a transition. Where were you at with that?
Okay, so after the accident, I wasn't driving for a while. So obviously I didn't have my legs, and I didn't know if I could get my license, or if I did get my license, would it be a modified car, which I didn't want to go that route of being stuck to one vehicle that's modified to my specifications. Once I did get discharged though, like I told myself, I wanted to see if I get any flashbacks or anything that might trigger, because it was a high speed accident where I lost my legs, and a specific car too, in a sense. It was a sports car, and I saw that car, like a car that was like what I was in, and I think I jumped in it, but I wanted to see if it made me have any bad flashbacks or like any shock PTSD, but nothing happened. So I was like, oh, okay, I'm cool with this. Like I'm fine. I'm fine with cars. I still love cars. While I was in hospital, I was still searching for cars. It's like I love supercars. So I was just taking wallpapers and all that for my phone, my computer. And in terms of driving, it's when I got my license, which was in 2016. And then driving, then I realized, no, nothing's changed. Like it's only readjusting to driving again, which is like using artificial legs to control the throttle and brake. Other than that, it was my reflexes and all that. It was still good. I think the main thing was it's my mental capacity to acknowledge what's changed and all that hasn't. It's developed. So I'm not saying, oh, I've got artificial leg, I can't do this. No, I'll go, you know what, I'll give it a try. And I gave it a try in a safe environment, which is the racetrack. And it was a slow process where I would take it easy first, and then once I built my confidence, I kept putting more pressure on the accelerator, more pressure on the brakes, and I built it up from there. I realized, wow, you know what, and looking for inspiration on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook. An example of a racing car driver, Alex Zanardi. He lost his legs in a Formula One type vehicle. He lost both his legs, and he like 10 months later he went back onto the track.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, so it's all about how you. It's all about the mind, how you can cope with it, and I didn't let that as a restriction.
Yeah. No, and that's a perfect lead into a lot of things that just to take this towards wrapping this up. There's part of the reason that I wanted to have this conversation with you is I do know that you've become quite comfortable talking on the public stage and sharing your story. And I also have seen you on television in a particular episode dealing with, I think was the program called Taboo. I think that was what it was called.
Yes,
and
that's correct.
You were with 3 other people who had gone through some sort of life-changing or had some sort of condition that had made their life very different. Is that along the lines?
Yep, that's exactly right.
Excellent. So the the aspect of your story that really is, I think, perhaps the most powerful part of this is how you have also gone further into your involvement with the gym. Now, I understand you own a gym now, is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, so you've gone from being this stick figure, as you describe yourself, youngster who was who was a bit of a booze head and you know, fast cars, typical young bloke, just living life, indestructible, bulletproof. You go through this really phenomenal, life-changing moment, and it's not until you actually fall out of the bed that you realise, hang on a minute, I have lost my legs, and it's taken you in a bit of a dark place in life, a lot of self-reflection. Then it came to that point where somewhere along the line, in that transition of just adjusting, that you were able to draw upon who you were, the guy that's got that funny sense of humour, the guy that's fairly positive and optimistic about what the world is all about for Khoa in this world. So you reach that point where you have the most amazing surgeon in the world who provides you with these incredible technologically advanced legs, which is, as you've indicated, is just amazing in itself because of what it's been able to let you do. And it's obviously boosted your confidence. So I would like to think that your fitness and your physical fitness is not really the only thing there is about you. There's also the mental fitness. What's the tie-in for you with regards to your physical fitness and owning a gym? So obviously going down the path of owning a gym, you could have done anything. You went down the path of owning a gym. What's the tie-in, sort of make that connection between being in a gym and also your mental fitness and the different aspects of how you've brought your life together to the point where you are at now? What's all the different things that tie in?
Whoops. Hello. Yeah. My speaker went funny just then. Can you hear me?
Yeah, all
good. Yeah. So I'd say what all ties into all of this with my fitness, it's the way I approach things in life. You could say that I know that training, being physical, it also gets you into a place where you're taking care of yourself, and at the end of the day, you have to look after yourself in order to help others, and that's how I see it as. I'm always right now. We've got the outbreak, the COVID and whatnot. So I'm training at home, but I'm doing that consistently because I know I'm looking after myself, and in order to help myself, I can help others in return, and it builds that. You could say it builds your memory too, and I add a lot of techniques in with like just sitting there breathing, as simple as breathing.
Mm-hmm.
It's that anyone can do, and it helps yourself in a sense. With same with driving, especially when you're going 180 k's down the main straight. Your heart rate pumps heaps, but you got to relax yourself. You got to take those deep breaths. I know it's hard to think when you're going down the main straight, but then you soon develop how to do that just by trying to slow down your heart rate, trying to think ahead of the next turn, basically. All that mental capacity helps do what I do, with especially the gym and my speaking too, you know, and that positive mindset. You gotta always be positive. There's always a negative involved. I keep saying this, without a negative, what's a positive?
Mm-hmm.
But we can emphasize our energy on the good things, on the positive side. Emphasize on the you put more focus on it rather than focus on the bad side of things, the negative news, negative press. Don't focus on that too much, because you will be dragged down. Your demeanor, your energy levels will transpire to other people who you surround yourself. So if they see you in a negative state, then they'll most likely try to separate that, because they can feel that energy, and energy is real. It's 100%, yeah. And when I do that in the gym, my business, people see my positivity, especially when they're looking at the good thing about myself is they can physically see I've got a story, yet it doesn't physically match why I'm smiling. So it brings that curiosity, that curiosity to come up and ask people who haven't met me, why is this guy so joyful? Why is this guy so happy? Like he's got something that I can't imagine myself being in. Like I can't imagine myself smiling. I'll hate the world, but why is he the way he is?
Yeah,
and I guess that's a perfect way to invite people to the conversation. And to, like, case in point, yesterday I was at the local supermarket, and I saw an amputee, and she saw me. She was in a wheelchair, and I just came over there. I started talking like we were best friends, and we started laughing, and she just started talking about my legs and all that. And I was just giving her encouragement, and she was a larrikin herself, and we mixed perfectly because we both laugh. Usually, some cases, they because we don't know the stories, right?
Exactly.
And some people like to tread careful water, but being me, I'm like, bang!
Yeah.
You could see that this guy's a joker. This guy's loving life, and you could see in his situation, it's all right to be like this. It's okay.
Absolutely. And I think that's something that I've tended to be in my approach to things is we need to recognise that everybody in some way, shape or form has a story, and it doesn't mean that it's, as the word applied to the TV show, it doesn't make it taboo. It's how that person can talk about it, and it's all part of a healing journey, and that's really important. Two things that I wanted to reference before we close up. You're now part of a project called the High Vibe Project. I was going to call High Fiber, that would have been funny. The High Vibe Project, and I wanted to ask you a little bit more about that. So you're one of the co-founders. Share a little bit about that and what that's all about, and what your purpose is behind your project.
Oh, so our purpose is just to connect people and create a place where anyone can belong and learn too. So we want to grow and build to make each individual their best version of themselves, and it's just simply be an extraordinary person, next level. We want to connect people to give them a platform to talk, to learn skills, and it's all about networking too. Bring like-minded people who want to improve on themselves or whatnot. Yeah, it's especially in this time where there's a lot of downtime, a lot of people are staying at home, that social disconnection, we're bringing it virtually now, where we can have that connection by sitting at the comfort of our own homes. Listening to positive stories, getting value, sharing. And it's all about sharing, learning, because we all learn. If you stop learning, you're not growing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think it's really super important that we place emphasis on the value of connecting and getting to understand someone else's experiences and perspectives in life. And I think it's really valuable that in a lot of ways it's also unfortunate but valuable that COVID has come along as it has, because it's certainly giving us a lot of reason to understand human nature, human connection, and getting to get a better understanding of ourselves in the scheme of things. And I think it's really valuable that you've got a project that's allowing people to connect in different ways and become, obviously, that focus on being a better version of themselves. Totally support that. Now, so in terms of Khoa in the future, one of the things you do is public speaking. So what are you anticipating is going to be the future for you in, say, the next 5 years? What's a major future goal for you?
My goal would be to share my story to a wider audience, to inspire people who feel like they're stuck in a rut, basically. To get that message across the world, because my story, like your story, Mitchell, Terry, it's unique. Every single person's story is unique, and I want to share, in my case, my story to people around the world, mainly targeting probably the younger generation who think they're invincible, who think life is just about partying or that, which is not. We go through that stage, but at the end of the day, it's only a part of our life where we'll definitely move on. And the sooner we move on and realize our worth and why we're here, why life is so precious, then the more of an impact we can do to make good in the world and be positive about it.
Awesome. Awesome. Now I throw 3 questions to each of the people that I interview. Those questions that I would love to ask you to round out this interview is, what is it you do? Who do you do it for? And why do you do it?
What is it I do? So in terms of my speaking, I'm a keynote speaker, and I'm using the platform to inspire people, to help them in their tough situations where they feel like their life has gone into the stink hole, or especially in this era, and just to help them get them back up again. And no excuses, showing that there's no excuses. And what was the third?
So it's why do you do it? So who you do it for, you've covered off in a roundabout way, because you're obviously answering the first part of the question. So it's what you do, you inspire people, you're a public speaker. Who you do it for, people that are stuck in a rut. Why do you do it?
Why do I do it? Because I've been through a topsy-turvy life, and I understand that we can enjoy ourselves, but sometimes we tend to forget that if we enjoy ourselves too much in our own little circle, that it can affect the, how would you say, the outer circle.
Mm-hmm.
There's a better word that I can put it on, but I can't think of it. But you tend to be in your own little bubble. And why do I do it? Because I want to expand that bubble to show that there's more than yourself and a couple of your friends that you hang around with every single day of the week or whatnot. There's more to it, who you can help people, because little Jimmy over there could be inspired by your story, but you're enclosed in that group. You're only keeping it to yourself. You're not sharing it. But if you could even speak to that little Jimmy to tell him your life experiences, then you could inspire that change in little Jimmy. Mm-hmm. And then it's a knock-on effect, like a domino effect. It'll just spread like wildfire. Yeah. Even if I inspire one person, it's that one person's world. That's enough for me. If I can inspire in my 5 years 10,000 people on a stage, that's an achievement. That's the best achievement ever, because you know it will just be a trickle effect.
Awesome.
Like a
Awesome.
hose.
I would really like to get the last piece of information ready, and that's going to be something that you can provide to me, perhaps via an email if you can send it across to me, because I'm going to want to include all of your contact information. So there'll be either your Facebook page, if you're on LinkedIn, or if you're anywhere on social media that you'd like people to be able to reach out and connect with you. If you have a website or anything else, if you've got a reference to anything that you've got as a project, such as the High Vibe project. So get those details across to me, because it'll be included in the description for this particular YouTube video, so that anyone can reach out and contact you. So do you want to just give us a quick reference to one way that they can contact you?
Yeah, you can contact me through Facebook, and that'll be my name, Khoa Nam Tran. So I'm heavily involved. I'm always active in Facebook and Instagram, but my Instagram tag name is slightly different, which will be in the description. But I can say it will be Khoa Nam Tran _Austin Integration. Yeah, it's a bit long, but yeah, it's all about my journey of being on my 2 feet.
Definitely.
It's simple as that. Yeah, it's a very simple thing that we take for granted. Just walking, you don't realize once you lose it that it's much needed, in a sense. Like all these muscles that I engage in that you wouldn't think of when you're able. It's a challenge, but over time, repetition. If you're persistent, you'll be stronger than ever. Like building muscles.
Great note to finish up on. It's been an amazing conversation. Thank you for sharing what you have shared, not just with me, but with obviously the people that are going to watch this or listen to this afterwards. It has been amazing, and we even got away with not too many jokes too. So I was sort of thinking, how many jokes are you going to drop into this? But it was really good that you were able to go down the pathway of a slightly more serious conversation, because this is obviously a fairly passionate story, and one that really could influence a lot of people who perhaps feel that maybe their world has changed and they don't know how to deal with it. They've certainly, if they want to, definitely reach out and contact Khoa. He's got a pretty amazing view on life, and certainly pretty inspirational. So thank you, Khoa, for your time. I have absolutely enjoyed this, and I would like to just recommend that anybody who wants to check out the description for this video. You'll find all of Khoa's contact details. Thank you so much, Khoa. It's been a pleasure.
Hey, thank you for having me.